Welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith. This is my favorite way to set zero at the end of your part, and that's to put your scale sideways. And as soon as you lose contact there, if anything, you're going to be a little plus material, but you'll never be any minus material, because if you were minus material, you wouldn't be able to slide your scale along there. So I set that there, and we're coming out here about 800, and that's what we decided to go ahead and make these things. And just a quick visual. And oh yeah, double check and make sure that, you know, we almost... Alright, then we go over to the mill. Alright, and over here in the mill we like our channel locks here. It really works out pretty nice. And we get a nice hole like this. All we're doing is slow speed. We're just breaking that right there. And that right there. Now we're finished off. Alright, now we're going to put it in. Alright, and still pretty warm, but should go in. We'll get it in there like that, and these have got holes above here, so we can go in here like this with the... There we go. Alright, it's going to sit flush on the bottom. We gave a little bit underneath the shoulder, but we're going to take the MIG welder and we're going to go around each one of these as we make, you know, after we get them all made, we're going to go in there and weld them up. Stick or MIG, I haven't decided yet. Alright, we're just rough drilling our opening or our hole. We're giving it a 30-second clearance over the 5/8, so 30 seconds. And we're going to go ahead and plunge enough to get a couple of the standoffs in one setup here. Alright, that should be enough depth in that hole, 30 seconds, to get a couple parts out of it in one setup here. Alright, so we're going to put on our turning and facing tool, and we're going to go ahead and face it first and set 0 for our travel. We're going to touch off. And we make this in about 2 passes. Now we're only going 650 on the depth there. Finish cut. we're just verifying our diameter, and 1/250. We gotta go find our file. We had it in on our other machine there because we forgot to actually do this step on one for our other one there, and we moved it in there. Alright, so we're just gonna, we're ready to break some corners here, but I needed to sand the OD. Just because it's got a rust, corrosion surface on it, and I want to bring it to a bright metal surface because that's going to be where the weld is going to join. This material had been sitting around for a while. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and change over to our parting tool again. And here again we're going to set 0. Just pass it. These parts are going to be 800 long. So we just come over here to 800. And that's where we part it. Set 0 on our little dial, but not our big dial. You know, you always gotta keep on yourself. When you're doing production, you just gotta make sure you're doing all the steps. Well, at least the construction has moved down about 3-4 houses here today, and so we don't have that noise. I can hear them just starting their compressors and stuff when there's saws that they're cutting that pavement out there. I guess they're gonna run a gas main down the middle of the road is what they came out. But we had a little excitement there. An 80-year-old woman was late for a hairdresser's appointment, and she went past the construction sign, past the cones. The cop was waving his hands. I was staring right out there. In fact, I was looking out and I was thinking, you know, look at there's 7 guys watching one guy run the saw, and then all of a sudden I heard the cop jumping up and down. He jumped out of the way, and bam! She creamed the back of his cruiser. So that took a couple hours to clear that out. Alright, we're getting ready to clear off our bench here. Last weekend, a gentleman came by, and his father had passed on, and he's gone through his tools and stuff. I think they both were engineers, but his dad was an old machinist, and anyhow, he donated to the cause, so to speak. A collection of miscellaneous, a couple 3 little boxes and some cardboard boxes with miscellaneous stuff. Now I'm just clearing this out of here, and I was wondering, you know, is it worth going ahead and creating a video, just kind of going through and checking out the old timers, what's left into these containers, and kind of see what this one story is about, what kind of a machinist he was. Kind of leave something in the comments there. All right, I'm going to clear this off and put this away for right now. I just got a storage area cleared out, so I'm just going to start putting it into the storage for right now. Alright, I've got this set up. It's kind of nice. I got two cardboard cutouts here so we can block out the sunlight here, so you got a good view of what I'm working on here. And I've set up these two castings here. Now, in the last video there I had on the crane jib there that I did the repair on there, I had a comment there that, you know, that I had to erase just because I don't want to get into a pissing contest. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to piss on yourself. The crane job came in and it was said, hey, I got a crane job coming in. So I immediately went out and I knew that I was going to have more than just 7018 to weld on, because I was picturing plate and flat materials. And most of those are in different classifications of, like in US Steel is T1 materials. And you gotta have a higher grade of low carbon rod to weld on those items. So I procured those rods, and come to find out what I was welding on wasn't any more than just standard steels. But I had those rods ready, and I was basically playing with those three rods at the same amperage on a piece of material for my own satisfaction. Okay, it wasn't, and also I am very comfortable welding 7018 all positions all day long out there, and that is my choice of rod. So that's how I ended up using that. Whether I actually needed 7018 on that rod or not, it was my choice. Now, I don't know every fact for every welding application, but I do have one fact that I do know, that this information is found in literature, online, and everything else. This happens to be my Bible here. I like this. They still make this. I don't know. I believe they don't make hardbacks anymore, but Lincoln still makes the Procedure Handbook of Arc Welding. Okay, and also in here you'll find things. There we go. You're supposed to mark all the pages. Okay, well there's a funny for you, because every page is marked. When you're welding on different steels, and you are playing with the high tensile strengths there, it also is an advantage to know the manufacturer of those materials. And you could have Allenwood, Armco, Bethlehem, Inland Steel, Jones & Laughlin, Kaiser, Lukens, National Steel Corporation, Republic Steel, US Steel, of course, that's where the T1 comes from, and Youngstown. Those name brands have got individual categories or brand name steel, and they have the suggested rod listed in here. Alright, there's a lot of other information in here that also gets into that. Alright, that was just a comment on the crane job there. Also, too, you know, you don't go through 37 years of experience and owning your own business for about 17 years, successful business for 17 years. Anyway, let's get to what today's job, and these are cast steel. And of course, I popped open the book here back when I knew I was going to have to do something with this, and I'm not going to go ahead and get to the information here, but I'm going to shortcut that information for you. Cast steel can be repaired or welded to other steels, formed steels, forged steels, wrought steels. But most of the time the welding procedures in the book refer to actual breaks during operation and stuff like that. It can be stick welded, but the most popular are either gas shield arc or submerged arc are your two two processes that are most commonly done with cast steel. The preheat is an important factor, but not necessary. They actually say in small parts you don't actually need to preheat. And also too, you have a certain layer of weld that the second pass is inner pass temperatures. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to do a preheat on here because I believe that in almost any welding, I don't like the shock of cold to hot and then back. Okay, when you do that, you know, it's you don't. Hey, grab your swim trunks and go from 80 degrees and jump in a 40-degree pool of water. It's shocking. Okay, well, the metal is actually receiving that shock too. It's expansion and contraction. And you want success on your weld joints and everything else. There's nothing worse than I think changing the temperature drastically from one to the other. The preheat recommended on here is 200 to 400 degrees. Now, I got my rosebud here, and I'm going to control this. I actually have a couple different sticks here. I got all the way from 200 degrees to 550, and I happen to have a 3 and a 4 in here as well. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to heat up. Now, they also said the most common heating or preheating on these would be to put them both in an oven and bring them up to uniform temperature so that the whole thing is hot and baked. And it's very if it was a little bit smaller, I'd set it on my wood stove and I could get that. Now this is on a steel table, and the steel table is also going to absorb some heat here, but I'm going to local heat this flange and this flange at the bottom here and get the tables all up to temperature as well. Now, inner pass temperature should not go below your preheat temperature, and you really shouldn't exceed your preheat. You shouldn't exceed your preheat temperature by more than a couple hundred degrees. The best rule is don't go past your preheat temperature with your inner pass temperature. If your weld starts washing in on the side, you can tell that you're getting up there too hot. So you're kind of looking at those. Now, we're just trying to put one pass bead around each one of these inserts that I got here, and the bottom is flush, and these are held down to the table flush, and we have a little bit of a ridge underneath here because there's a radius real close to here, and we just went ahead and left it in there. We know that we're going to fill it. The pressure and the clamping of my stack up assembly that's going to be holding this together is really, this is ideal for that, is just to go ahead and give it a connection all the way around the edge. I've ground and cleaned the pieces before I put them in there, so they're all set and ready to go. After I get done, and I choose to wire feed this. I could stick weld them and everything else, but this is basically about 3/16 of an inch sticking up here. This whole standoff is 3/4 inch, the same as the standoff that's going to go on after the sprocket that's going to hold the wire guard in there. The main thing is the spool of wire is going to be paying out in and out on here. So the sprocket will go against here, then the spacer, then the guard, and the cable will be safe in here. The guard is held on with the flat heads and it bolts through. All the sandwiches exactly the same. Let's get started. Alright, I'm going to start off with the preheat. Actually, I'm going to go grab 2 blankets and lay here on the top. I draped these blankets over here. After I get done welding this, I'm going to go ahead and put the blanket right over the welded areas right there. Just kind of let them cool down slowly. But I got them propped up here right now, draped over the top and down the sides right there to help me hold in the heat, okay? Of course, I'm going to be heating in here and it's going to generate, but heat is going to travel up through the part and down into the table. And I found that kind of putting the blanket in around your item really lets the saturation just build and hold uniform in there. Once we get this is not like we're going to be welding. This is going to be weld that one, weld that one, weld that one, weld that one. and we're not going to have too much of a problem with our inner pass temperatures there. But I went ahead and I got the 200, 300, 400, and 500 degree temp sticks there so that I can control and see. I'm going to go ahead and try to generate and get both of these into that realm there, even though I'll wall up one and then blanket it up, and we'll go, and we may have to add a little bit more heat to our second one and then do the same thing there. All right. Now this is the number 6 run cut here. And I'm not trying to get it like right in there and blast one area. I'm trying to flood the heat. And actually you can watch the moisture kind of like suck away from the table and the part usually when you first start initiating your heat to it. Now the way a temp stick works, it's like chalk when it's cold. But when it's the right temperature or a little bit above this temperature, it melts. See how it goes away when I put the cold through it? Because it melted. But you want it to melt when you're drawing. That's how you tell that a temp stick is working. Or I can say, that's how you use the temp stick. Alright, this is going to take a while. I'm going to give you a break. Alright, I'm starting to get up there. I can got lost there. Starting to just offset that in the line there. So I'm starting to get a few spots that are over 200. Okay, they're all areas are over 200. Here's a 300. And so somewhere between 2 and 300 on that one. Same thing on that one. Starting to get close to 300. I can tell I had a little spot there just starting to melt. Okay, we're getting 300 over there. We got a little bit more over here. Okay, we're about 300 on most of that one. Between 3 and 400 now. I'm going ahead and taking them up to 400 because that'll, by the time I work with it and they cool down, I should still be between that 2 and 400 degree temperature that is comfortable for a preheat. What's nice about a brand too, you want to see how far the 200 actually goes out. That goes out to right there. Alright, so right about there is about 200 degree range, even though this down here is over 3, not quite 4. Just gives you an idea how to use your temp stick. Okay, that's up to... Keep the right stick in your hand and you'll know what temperature it is. Okay, they're still not quite up to 4. Just starting a little spot over there, about 4. almost there at 4. There. Now see how far out to. Okay, right about there, 200 degrees. Right about there too. So you got 200 degrees around on the table and all of that. Alright? Here's 300. 300 about right there. 300 about right there. You really can measure about how much and where you got heat at. Alright? Now, this is pretty fast moving job. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weld one on there, weld one over here. Weld one on there, weld one on there. Go back and forth. So I can use the weld as continually heat. And I'm going to hit the outside, work my way to the middle of the front. And we're on the verge. We're on the verge. Alright. Then keep this up on the top. Move my sticks out of the way. Alright, fire up some welder here. And we just want to turn down here just a little bit. Okay, we're still just making sure that we're over 200. We're over 200 everywhere, even out here on the table still. Okay, then we're going to go over to this one here. Alright, I come around and come up on the back side because that's where that ramp is. Alright, and I'm working it to melt in that little valley that's there so that I get the best penetration I can right around that edge there. You want to know where the temperature is still? You know, we still got 200 there. And we're 200 out about, 4 inches out from the outside there. Alright, there's all of them. Alright, now here's 200. Okay, so that was basically 200's there. 200's about right there. Alright, let's do the same here. Just so you can 200 is about an inch in from there. 300, it is 300. 400. On the verge, okay, so we never did overheat these. All right. And we're not in a race, but I do like to have them at least choked up as soon as possible. And you want to cool them down slow. That's all. You want it to not be. It's not a race. All right. It's not a race. We got plenty of other things to do. We're going to go ahead and start setting up the sprockets and the other plates in the plasma cutter because this diameter is larger. Okay, we're not going to set it up in a lathe and continue boring it. We've already got the hole patterns and everything else all set, so we're going to rely on the hole patterns to hold the alignment of the sprockets. This is a cast surface anyway, and it's had cable on it, so its trueness is not really going to be any more than what we're going to create with our bolt hole pattern. So let's go ahead and start setting up the plasma cam and get those gears and those standoffs and that guard cut. And we're going to let these cool down. Alright, we have verified that we can set a half ring against two stops here. We have this slid in on this side here. After we zeroed this in, we came over here to the zero line out 11 inches, 400 thousandths, and then that's our sweep. We actually picked our center one here. We made the radius and everything else, but it comes and figures out to be our finished diameter that we swept on these is out that far. We did a little offset so we get the right start so that our pierce will come down in between our shield and the plate. And basically we figured it out to be about 3/4 of an inch of material that's coming out of here. It's like 725 or so, and we'd be happy probably with 3/4. We're gonna, just before we start, and this is gonna be, we're gonna start out on the guards here, 3/8 plate, and we know that we can locate this in here and take another cut if we have to, but this will be our test to go ahead and cut this out and try it onto the hubs there. Now before we get going here, they're cooled down. We just got them unbolted and we put away our clamps and stuff, and we're getting ready to go over there and slide them together. Yeah, we've been monkeying around with this and some numbers and figuring out, and before we actually do this, we want to put the two halves together, put a pie tape around the middle, and verify that we're leaving or giving ourselves plenty of room to play. There's no need to make this a full contact, and nobody wants to hand work that, especially on those sprockets. We're at the verge. It's gonna be interesting to watch those because at the very beginning of this whole session, everybody's going, "Hey, why didn't you plasma cut out the circle to start with?" And here we are. We're actually gonna attempt to plasma cut out the circle instead of put these things back into the faceplate and turn them again. Only because we know how well they did on the split lines, and it was a pretty good job. And if we can do that on the curve itself, it'd be excellent. And once we cut these reliefs in here, these are basically ready to go assemble on those drums, and then we can get going, get these mounted down on the crane, and get going with our pinion shaft and our pinion sprocket. All right, so let's go throw a pie tape on that drum. We got our drums put together, and then we took our split line pieces here, and they're a little tight right there, but you know, we got them in there so we know we're holding out that drum pretty close to where it's supposed to go. And we bring the pie tape around in here, and we're 14.630 or so. All right, so we figure 14 3/4 on our table over there for the cut line. I think we're going to be in a safe realm. All right, so I'll give you a close up there of our welds there. They came out pretty decent. Now you can see up in this back area right here, we're going to do a little sanding just to make sure that we're flat there. But that's what, I'm glad I took the wire feed just to make sure that we didn't get too much built up all the way around each one of them. But I mean, you know, it's pretty nice looking weld. We used our same pointer tool and we came over to different areas, just like coming to this inside of the point right here. Alright, but that's the inside of the curve itself, and we go ahead and we verify it to a couple other locations, like the inside radius right there. And then we came on over to the other side here and verified it to that position. Alright, now we kind of scribed a couple lines out there. Alright, so you know, we're a little bit above the plate there, you know, so that purple line from your angle doesn't look quite like it's there, but you know, if you wanted to go to there, to there, you know, that point line really comes into play. We scribed up a line also up here. We went between that line and that edge place right there and back up to the line. You know, so we verified all of those. We think we're going to be pretty good on the sweep. So now we're ready to pull off that tip, and we're going to go ahead and switch out to our other tip. We're going to go ahead and change out. We don't need the pointer on there. We got to do some cutting. And while we're in here, we're going to check our consumables. We've had a lot of cut plating. And electrode still looks pretty good. The tip still looks pretty good. You don't need to put something new on it every single time unless we start seeing a problem with our cut. Alright, you always want to make sure that these are tight. I've had these be loose and it gives you a false reading, false sense of the material. Our contactor slips on there. And put our pop away right back on here. That auto senses. You know, I haven't had to do a single thing to this arrangement since I created it. We're going to be getting into that probably in a little bit there. I have some requests to make more of these, and actually people are going to want to buy these, and I'm giving it some thought. I have somebody that wants to do the production run for me, and we just want to find out some of the popular torches, and I got a couple people I want to speak to on that. But anyway, we are kind of hashing it up. If you want to comment on what kind of torch you actually have, let's see who has the most common torch and what the most common torch is from you viewers out there. Anyway, all right, we're all set, ready to go. This is in. We already did a verification, and we have this as a tape measure for a quick guide off of our zero edge over here at 11 inches 400. And we verified our diameter. We think we're going to be right in the ballpark. This is 3/8 plate, and I got it set at like 30 inches a minute. It might be a little bit slow, but I'd rather have a slow, nice cut than a fast one. You know, I'm looking for a good one-time deburr, sand, and fit. That's what I want. All right. I need to put some curtains up here. Cut down on the draft. like that. You know, how can you hate that? I don't know what I did with my putty knife. Okay, one little spot right there. We'll just hit with the sander there, and let's go check the fit.